Sports. It's in the game. EA Sports. It's in the game.
What's up, guys? It's JTV Gaming here, and today we have the 6th episode of our Würzburg Road to Glory. And to start this off, we look at our youth academy. I decided to send out our first scout to Portugal to find some attackers, our second scout to find some technically gifted players from Spain, and our third scout to find some defensive-minded players from Italy for the rest of the season. We now have a little bit of transfer news, as Florian Havertz, we've decided not to renew his contract, and he will be leaving at the end of the season to join Celtic. One of our players that we just promoted recently, Akira Kawakami, will be going out on a short loan to FC Basel for the rest of the season. Denjiro Itu will also be heading out on a short loan to Yokohama FM. We now have a pair of youth players that we are promoting, and the first one of those players is Tomohiko Shizuki. He's a technically gifted right mid who is from Japan. He is a 60 overall with the potential of 78 to 86. Shizuku has showing great potential, so I do not know what we will be doing with him at the moment. I might just keep him around for the rest of the season just to have a backup player in case we need it. The other player I'm promoting is Gabriel De Smet. He is a playmaking center mid from Belgium. He is a 63 overall with a potential of 73 to 91. He is showing great potential, so I do not think I will be keeping him, as I will look to sell him, as I feel like we have better options at center mid. We now have our first game of the season as we travel to face KFC Uerdingen at the Dusseldorf Arena. Uerdingen will be lining up in a 4-4-2. We will be lining up in a 4-2-3-1. We will have Mueller in goal. We'll have Hemmerich at right back, Bradley and Hathertz at center backs, Thomason at left back, Lubicic and Sontheimer at defensive mids, Schmidt, Backer, and Krishaveli at attacking mids, with Zivkovic up top. This game did end up finishing 0-0. It definitely was a game that could have gone either way, just neither team capitalized on any of their chances. We're going to be promoting 3 youth players, and the first of which is Antonio Ricci. He is a defensive-minded left back from Italy who is 6'2". He has an overall of 60 and a potential of 66 to 90. Ricci is not showing any good potential, so we will be selling him very shortly. The second player that we are promoting is Ichiro Kobayashi. He is a technically gifted center mid from Japan. He is a 60 overall with the potential of 80 to 86. Kobayashi is only showing great potential, so I will be looking to sell him. The third player that we are promoting is Sergio Vega. He is a technically gifted attacking mid who is from Spain. He is a 66 overall with a potential of 77 to 94. Arguably the greatest surprise of this whole entire series is that Vega is showing potential to be special, so he definitely will be a player we are going to use later on, just not right now, as he is only a 66 overall. However, if we train him up, I feel like we could be using him next season. We now have a little bit of transfer news, as we have sold Ronald Hintermeyer to SD Huesca for $760,000. We now return to a little bit of league action as we host Heidenheim at the Flyer Alarm Arena. For this game, I've changed this to a 4-4-1-1, as we will keep our same back line as last game. The only difference is in midfield, Sontheimer and Lubicic will be moving from defensive mid to center mids as I look to get them more involved in the attack. Heidenheim will be lining up in a 4-1-4-1. This is a very defensive formation, so that formation switch could be very crucial for us. In the 56th minute of the game, Heidenheim are able to get the ball outside on the right side. We do not have any players step to them, as we look to simply just prevent them from scoring in the box. Their player then cuts it back before their player touches it around. The ball gets crossed into the box. Hemmerich takes a terrible touch, and they do end up scoring off that Hemmerich mistake as we go down 1-0 in the 58th minute. In the 65th minute, Krishaveli has the ball. He then plays it into Zivkovic, who plays Vogel in behind the defense. He gets fouled as he does so, but he still gets a pass off as Vogel is able to dribble around his defender. He then gets into the box before he plays it to Krishaveli, who absolutely smashes it back post to tie the game up at 1-1 in the 67th minute. At full time, the score would end up being 1-1 as we did tie, thanks to that equalizer from Krishevili. We now have another game in the league as we travel to face VfL Unsenbrook. Unsenbrook will be lining up in a 4-2-3-1. The player we're definitely going to have to watch out for is Aguirre, as he seems to do very, very well against us every time we play them. For this game, I've decided to put us into a 4-2-3-1 narrow. We'll have Mueller in goal, Hemorrhage at right back, Cho and Martinson at center backs with Hatherts at left back. Lubicic and Sontheimer will be playing defensive mids. Krishevili will be center mid. Vega will be left attacking mid. Baker will be right attacking mid, and we'll have Zivkovic up top. In the 11th minute, Unsenbrook are dribbling the ball through our half. Hatherts goes to make a tackle, but he completely misses. They then have the ball inside our box. Martinson cannot make the tackle. It is then crossed in as Cho loses his man, as Unsenbrook go up 1-0 in the 12th minute. In the 20th minute, we have a corner crossed in, but before it is knocked away, Lubicic is then able to win the ball. We then play into Vega. Vega then plays Sontheimer, who is dribbling on the edge of the box. Sontheimer plays Vega. Vega dribbles past one defender, cuts it back, turns, shoots off balance, and puts it into the upper netting as we tie the game up at 1-1 in the 23rd minute. In the 58th minute, we have another corner. It is crossed in, but the keeper is able to make the save. The keeper then punts it away. Aguirre then gets the ball. He is then dribbling right at our defense. Unsenbrook do amazing link-up play. Before they're in behind the defense, 1-on-1 with the keeper. Mueller cannot make the save as they score, making the score now Unsenbrook 2, Würzburg 1 in the 60th minute. In the 78th minute, Unsenbrook's keeper boots it long. We are able to win the aerial duel before Backer gets the ball. He then plays it into Krishevili. Krishevili then is taken down in the box with a slide tackle, as we have just earned a penalty very late in the game. The Unsenbrook player will be penalized for that as he receives a yellow card. As you can see from this angle, he did get his leg first, so it definitely deserved to be a penalty. Krishevili will now step up to take that penalty as we look to put it into the bottom left corner. He steps up and scores, meaning that we tie the game up at 2-2 in the 80th minute. At full time, we would end up tying 2-2. We definitely could have done better. However, the fact that we were able to come back from being a goal down and tie it up 2 different times is positive. Just a couple of days after that game against Unsenbrook, we have a little bit of bad news as Max Schmidt has pulled his quad and he's going to be out for 3 weeks. We now have some transfer news as Antonio Ricci will be joining Perdone for $520,000. Kobayashi will be joining Alba Club for $550,000. Tomohiko Shizuki will be joining Sohan Belmare for $750,000. We are now going to be promoting a pair of youth players, and the first of which is Andrea Mariani. He is a defensive-minded right back from Italy. He is a 61 overall with a potential of 74 to 94. Mariani is showing great potential, however we do not have a very good high potential right back, so he could be a key player for us next season. Maximini Versitate is another player we are promoting. He is a 5'5" playmaking right mid from Belgium. He is a 62 overall with a potential of 77 to 83. Versitate is showing great potential, however I will be selling him as I do feel like he is too small to be an effective player. We now travel to face Dresden in the league. Dresden will be lining up in a 4-2-3-1. We will again be lining up in that 4-2-3-1 narrow formation. The only change we've made is I've put Schmidt in for Zivkovic up top. In the 33rd minute, we look to win the ball back in Dresden's half, but we are unable to do so, as Dresden are then able to pass the ball around. The ball then gets played into their striker, who is able to turn around Lubicic, for it is played out wide to their right mid. Hatherts is beaten on the ball. They then do a quick combination play in our box. The ball then gets bobbled around before the Dresden player is able to put it into the back of the net to put them up 1-0 in the 36th minute. In the 45th minute, we throw the ball into Sontheimer, who then switches it out to Lubicic. Lubicic then plays Backer out wide, who backheels it to Hemorrhage. Hemorrhage then loses the ball in the corner, and we are now vulnerable to be counterattacked. However, Backer is able to expertly win the ball back. He then dribbles at the defense, cuts around one player before he loses that ball. However, we are able to win the ball back. Lubicic then gets the ball. He plays it into Schmidt. Schmidt has some tight footwork before he shoots it. The keeper is able to make the first save. However, he cannot fully save it as it goes into the back of the net to tie the game up at 1-1 in stoppage time of the first half. In the 61st minute, Dresden have a corner kick. The first attempt does not go. Martinson is then able to win the ball as he looks to bring it up the field. He is able to do so expertly as he is very large and very fast. He then plays it in behind the defense for Krishashvili with one-on-one with the keeper before he plays it across to Vega as Vega puts it into the back of the net to put us up 2-1 in the 64th minute. In the 83rd minute, Mueller has the ball. We then play out wide to Hemmerich. Hemmerich then plays Sontheimer, who plays Lubicic, who plays Krishashvili before his ball to Bradley is intercepted. We then get counterattacked immediately afterwards. Cho overplays the ball before their player gets it and absolutely smashes it into the back of the net to make the game 2-2 in the 85th minute. At full time, we would end up drawing 2-2, thanks to goals from Schmidt and Vega and 2 goals from their player Klingenberg. We now have a little bit of transfer news as Bram Decker will be going out on a 1-year loan to Besiktas. We're now going to be promoting a youth player, and that player is Cesar Miguel. He is a technically gifted center forward from Spain. He is a 64 overall with a potential of 75 to 94. Miguel is only showing great potential, as I will most likely sell him, as he is not the type of striker that I would want for our team. We now have another league game as we go to travel to face St Pauli. St Pauli will be lining up in a 4-1-4-1. We will continue to be lining up in this 4-2-3-1 narrow shape as we have not made any changes from our last game. In the 86th minute, St Pauli have the ball out wide. Hathers looks to slide tackle their player before he misses, which means Bartenson will now have to shift over. They have plenty of players in the box. Cho then loses his marker as their player heads it into the back of the net in the 88th minute to put us 1-0 down. In stoppage time of the second half, we then have the ball on the edge of their box. Sontheimer then loses the ball as St. Pauli will now look to counterattack us. Their player is able to combine well. They now have the numbers in the attack. Hemmerich looks to close him down. However, he cannot do that. The ball is then crossed in as their player absolutely smashes it into the back of the net in the dying minutes of the game to win them the game 2-0. We did end up losing the game 2-1. Definitely not a result that we wanted towards the end of the season. Well, at the end of the season, we would end up coming 10th in the table as we finished on 44 points. It is not bad, but it's also not that good. However, for our first season being in Division 2, I do consider it a success. Looking at the top goal scorers, Krishashvili came in 7th as he scored 15 goals in 34 games. Sontheimer came 8th in assists as he had 7 in 34 games. Mueller would come in 5th for clean sheets as he kept 11 in 34. In the DFB Pokal, we did get knocked out in the second round as we lost 3-2 to Borussia Dortmund. We now look at our player stats for the season, and we look at appearances as Mueller, Krishashvili, Sontheimer, and Hemmerich all had 41 appearances. Lubicic and Hathers has 40, and Zivkovic had 39. Looking at our top goal scorers, Krishashvili came in first as he had 17 goals, Zivkovic came in second with 9 goals, and Schmidt came in third with 8 goals. Looking at our players who had the most assists, Sontheimer came in first as he had 8 assists, Lubicic came in second with 7 assists, and Zivkovic came in third with 5 assists. Looking at our players who kept the most clean sheets, Lubicic kept the most clean sheets as he kept 15. Krishashvili, Sontheimer, Hemmerich, and Mueller came in second with 14, and Zivkovic and Hathers came in third with 13. Michael Bradley was the only player whose overall decreased as it went down 2 overall. Backer and Thomason were the 2 players whose overall went up the most as they went up by 8. Martinson's overall went up by 7, and one of our youth players out on loan, Kaiser's overall went up by 6. Looking at our players who are the highest overall, Sontheimer continues to keep his crown as he is a 78 overall. Krishashvili is a 77 overall, and Lubicic is now at 75 overall. Looking at our overall managerial resume, we have still only won 1 league. Our biggest win and biggest defeat did not change. However, we have now played a total of 127 games. We have won 65, drawn 31, lost 31, scored 213 goals, while only allowing 138. Looking at this 2021-2022 season specifically, the club wanted us to finish mid-table, which we did. The club wanted us to reach the round of 32 stage in the DFB Pokal, which we did not do as we got eliminated in round 2. The record transfer fee that we paid was for Michael Bradley of $1.9 million, and the record transfer fee that we received was for Schulte of $1.15 million. We did not win Manager of the Month or Manager of the Year at all this season. We played a total of 41 games. We won 16, we drew 11, we lost 12, we scored 58 goals while allowing 47. I hope you all enjoyed watching. I do post some other content on my channel, like Minecraft and Madden videos, so if you want to check that out, subscribe. And it's JTB Gaming, signing off.
EA Sports. It's in the game. EA Sports. It's in the game.